All right, Brad, I want to start here. Malcolm said the trade came together pretty quickly from his perspective, but I know he's been on your radar, but from your perspective, when did this start to feel like something you could actually do this offseason?
No, it came together pretty quickly, but there are conversations throughout years of time, right, with front offices and amongst front office executives that, you let them know who's on your radar for them. They let you know who's on theirs, and so these things you have a pretty good idea of what people are looking for or what they like from you. This was a unique situation because of the amount of people that was in the trade for us, and it was really hard to trade Daniel and to trade Aaron. Two guys that have been here, even though Daniel's time this time was not much. Two guys that have been here and were really invested, and so that was really difficult. And then the three guys that were included as well, like they were great to have around, and they added a lot to our whole environment. But we knew we had to get a little bit better, and I talked about it in the last press conference. I felt scoring, especially scoring off the bench, made a lot of sense for us to, hopefully continue to strive for the next step.
Malcolm said you recruited him hard, trying to go to college. How hard? One of the things one of my best qualities as a college recruiter was I knew when to get out, and so I did early. He had a connection. I forget what the exact connection. It was a family connection with Ronald Norwood, who played for us and is now an assistant coach for the Pacers. But so I was on him early, and then I watched him start to blow up, and I bowed out. And so I know who I can't get because it's better. It's a heck of a lot better to finish first or get out early than it is to finish second when you're recruiting somebody. Do you call Ron and get the scouting report from Indiana, or do you know at that point what you're getting in the player?
I talked to Ron enough. I got a pretty good idea. No, I think, the first thing that stands out with both these guys, and, Gallo obviously had the huge game against us last year. I did tell him last night, I don't know that I've ever coached a team that played as bad as we did that night. So we definitely played a role in his 39 points, but we'll give him credit for the 10 threes off the bench.
Well, first off, he didn't even remember the game.
Oh, he remembered it. We talked about it last night. He tried to play that off. We talked about it last night. And then with Malcolm, Malcolm's right. You remember who gives you headaches in the playoffs. And so Malcolm had really good games against us with Milwaukee in the playoffs. Had a couple of great games when he was at Indiana, especially early on against us. And, and I've known Malcolm for a long time and know of his substance, know what he's about. He came into the league as a guy that people thought would be a really tough physical defender that may be a little bit limited offensively, and he has worked really hard on his game and has become, he was a 50, 40, 90 guy one year. It's pretty impressive what he's done.
From the jump here, Malcolm has already stated, six man. I'm eager to embrace and do that. Why was that important to you? My mind goes back a little bit to 2019 and just, felt like defining roles was important. Is that fair to say for you that having defined roles moving forward is important for this group?
We've been very intentional about that for the last, even last summer, same stuff. I think it's important to know that we're all going to have to give a little. It's important to know that when you're a part of a special team, that requires special talent. And so ultimately, the other part of that talent is the self-awareness to, use your strengths to accentuate others around you and recognize that there's others with a lot of strengths too. So that's just part of a team. But communicating that, being upfront about that, making sure that we're all on one page and, keep the main thing is important.
Well, what excites you most about what Danilo can bring this team?
Well, I just think, the obvious is the spacing and the shooting. And he's a hard guy to contest even when you're almost there because he's so big. He can make shots with a contest. He can get a little step back with a contest. But the other thing that, isn't the most popular thing in the world in the NBA these days is sometimes you just need to throw it on the block to a guy or throw it to the elbow to a guy. And if he has an advantage, it forces the defense to react. And some people will live with those shots to an extent, but being able to throw it to him on the block as a scorer and a passer, I think is a good thing because, one of the things about moving Jason and Jaylen, or starting smart this year and starting big around Jaylen and Jason, is it forced 2s and 3s to guard them a lot. And that was kind of one of the reasons why we wanted to do that. Well, now with Gallo, you've got another guy with great size where, if we're big or small, he can take advantage of his strengths.
It's the off season. There's always a lot of rumors out there. People get caught up in who might be available, who might not be. What do you
get caught up in that?
I mean, I know a guy who runs a basketball operation that I don't think gets too caught up in it.
Yeah.
So I don't put too much stock in it. But when you look at this roster, how comfortable are you that this is the crew and this is the crew you want to move forward with?
Well, as I said in there, I think there may be a positional need or two that we have to add, and we've got several people we're looking at to do that. We have to add without taking away. You've talked about the depth already and the fact that people have to give. And I think that we are in a good place depth-wise. If we head into the season with this group plus an add or two that, helps us, navigate with a full roster, all the ups and downs from an injury standpoint of the season, I feel really good about what this group can accomplish. When
I go through your to-do list, it's starting to get low, but you do have a couple extension options down the road. I'm not asking you to get into the numbers and stuff like that, but how important is it to talk to Grant about that potential and further down the road? Jaylen has reasons why he should wait on that, but is it important to you to present that to him and say, show how much the team wants him to be here?
Well, obviously, I won't go into when you have discussions, who do you have discussions. But, yeah, it's super important to talk to your guys, right? The guys that have been here, the guys that, were drafted here, and the guys that have just, played their roles well here. And, obviously, Jaylen's had an incredible impact as a, young player and a person that has already made an all-star game. And I thought Grant made a great step this year in really embracing who he is. And that's a versatile defender who can make shots, and I think that's really important. So, yeah, we'll have those conversations, and I won't get into the details of that.
Yeah, that's fine. I knew that, but, I got to ask those questions. All right, let's end on this. When you took over a year ago, there was and again, I know you don't get caught up in all this, but there was a lot of, okay, this guy's a coach. How's this going to go? But I know how much you love building teams. It's been whirlwind. I don't know when you've had a chance to breathe, but how much have you enjoyed this process, and how much are you enjoying just kind of building this thing out?
Yeah, I think the part that I probably didn't realize is how little of your time is spent on roster construction. I mean, it's so very little when you factor in the 70 people in basketball operations or 60 people in basketball operations and all of their, careers as well, right? And so whether it's building a team on the court that plays well together or being a part of a group that is helping build a team that works every day together, we have a lot of people that are adding a lot all over this building, and we're really lucky. We didn't have a ton of change when I moved over. Obviously the coaching staff changed. We had a few personnel changes from a playing standpoint, but we have a lot of familiar people in the building, and we've just tried to make it robust and with the appropriate ads in the building as well. So that's been a lot of my focus and a lot of my attention. We've got a great building, a building that works in one direction, a building that stays on point and stays on message and, understands how hard it is to be a player and a coach in this league. And so that's, our job is to be here to support, and we'll just keep trying to do that. So I look at our role as, probably 5-10% roster construction and 90% support network. That's what we're here for.
Do you need a break, or are you ready for the new season?
No, I'm not going to wish the break away. At the end of the day, I never will do that, right? It's great for everybody. And we talked about Tatum with this. These guys need that. Our coaches need it. The front office needs it. The Mike Zarins and Austins and Remy Cofields and Dave Loons and Allison Feasters and all the people that, they haven't stopped since the season ended. They've just kept going. And so it'll be good to take a deep breath knowing that we want to go on another long run. And we have a team that's capable of doing that, but that nothing's guaranteed. It's going to be really hard. There's a lot more examples of teams that made the finals that,
were first or second round exits the next year, then made it again.
Last thing I'll leave you with, training camp, Newport. Think about it. Thank you, Brad.
Nope, we're here. We got a beautiful facility. I know you love Newport, but we're here.